A lot of homemade cookies lift your spirits and make your house smell wonderful. The homemade cookies taste a lot better than the slice and bake kind. Learn how to make a variety of cookies. So, we are going to watch about the how to make homemade cookies.
Method 1. Chocolate chip cookies are being made. First is preheat the oven. Step 2. Mix and sift the dry ingredients.
Put the flour, salt, and baking powder in a bowl and whisk them together. Step 3. Cream the butter and sugars in a separate bowl. Place them in a large bowl and use a hand mixer to beat them together until the butter and sugars are fully combined and the mixture has turned light and fluffy.
Step 4. Add the eggs and vanilla.
Keep beating the mixture until the eggs and vanilla are completely blended in.
Step 5. Stir in the flour mixture.
Use a long-handled spoon to stir the dry ingredients in with the wet. Keep stirring until you can't see any white specks of flour.
Step 6. Mix in the chocolate chips.
Pour them into the bowl and use the spoon to mix them in with the batter.
Step 7. Drop spoonfuls of batter onto a baking sheet.
Use a spoon or a small ice cream scoop to scoop even amounts of batter onto a baking sheet. Space them an inch or two apart so they'll have room to spread while baking. To keep the cookies from sticking to the baking sheet, you can line it with parchment paper before placing the cookies on it. For perfectly even cookies, use a 1/8 measuring cup to scoop the batter.
Step 8. Bake the cookies.
Place the cookie sheet in the oven and bake the cookies for 15 minutes. Or until they turn golden brown on top and the edges look slightly crisp.
Step 9. Remove the cookies from the oven to cool.
Place them on a cooling rack or move them to a plate and let them cool until they aren't too hot to eat.
Finally, finished.
Enjoy.
Method 2. Making cookies. First is preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius. Step 2. Mix the dry ingredients.
Place the flour and baking soda in a bowl. Whisk until they are fully combined.
Step 3. Cream the wet ingredients in a separate bowl.
Place the butter, sugar, egg, and vanilla in a bowl and beat until the ingredients are incorporated and the mixture is light and fluffy.
Step 4. Mix the wet and dry ingredients.
Pour the flour mixture into the bowl of wet ingredients. Use a long-handled spoon to stir the batter until you can no longer see the specks of white flour.
Step 5. Drop the cookies onto a baking sheet.
Use a spoon or a small ice cream scoop to place even amounts of cookie dough onto the baking sheet. Space them an inch or two apart to allow the cookies room to spread.
Step 6. Flatten the cookies.
Use the bottom of a drinking glass to press the cookies flat.
Step 7. Sprinkle the cookies with sugar.
This will give the cookies a sweet, crunchy finish.
Step 8. Bake the cookies.
Place the baking sheet in the oven and bake the cookies for 15 minutes. Or until the tops turn slightly golden.
Step 9. Let the cookies cool.
Remove them from the oven and place them on a cooling rack or a plate. Let them cool for a minute or two before eating.
Finally, decorate the cookies.
Sugar cookies are fun to decorate with glaze or icing. Add sprinkles or edible glitter to make them look festive.
Method 3. No-bake peanut butter cookies. First is boil the milk and sugar.
Place them in a saucepan. Put the saucepan on the stove and turn the burner to medium-high. Let the milk and sugar come to a boil and cook, stirring constantly, until the sugar dissolves, which should take about 5 minutes. Remove the mixture from heat.
Step 2. Add the vanilla, peanut butter and salt.
Pour the ingredients into the saucepan and stir them in until they're completely incorporated. You can add 1/2 cup of cocoa powder to make chocolate peanut butter cookies. Stir in 1/2 cup peanut butter.
Step 3. Stir in the oatmeal.
Step 4. Scoop the cookies onto a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Use a spoon or a small ice cream scoop to scoop the batter in even amounts onto a baking sheet.
Step 5. Let the cookies cool for 15 minutes.
As they cool, they'll harden slightly. When you can pick them up without them falling apart, they're ready to eat.
Finally, store leftover cookies in the refrigerator.
Save some treats for later by storing them in the fridge, which will keep them from melting and falling apart.
Method 4. Making cookies. First is mix the dry ingredients.
Put the flour, baking soda, salt, cinnamon, ground ginger, and ground cloves in a bowl. Use a whisk to stir the ingredients together. Step 2. Cream the butter and sugars in a separate bowl. Place them in a mixing bowl and use a hand mixer to beat the ingredients until they become light and fluffy.
Step 3. Add the remaining wet ingredients.
Place the egg, vanilla, and molasses in the bowl with the butter and sugars. Beat the wet ingredients until they are fully combined.
Step 4. Mix the wet and dry ingredients.
Pour the flour mixture into the bowl with the wet ingredients. Use a spoon to stir the batter until you no longer see specks of white flour. Step 5. Form the batter into a ball and chill it. Use your hands to form it into a ball shape. Then place it on a sheet of plastic wrap and pull up the edges to completely wrap the dough ball. Put it in the refrigerator and chill for 1/2 hour.
Step 6. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius. Step 7. Roll out the dough.
Remove the dough from the refrigerator, unwrap it, and put it on a floured work surface. Use a floured rolling pin to roll the dough to 4-inch, 0.6 cm thickness.
Step 8. Cut the dough.
Use a cookie cutter to cut the dough, then place the unbaked cookies on a baking sheet as you go.
Step 9. Bake the cookies.
Place the cookie sheet in the oven and bake the cookies for 15 minutes. Remove them from the oven before the edges brown.
Finally, let the cookies cool.
Place them on a cooling rack or a plate and let them cool for a minute before eating.
Method 5. Making other cookies. First is make homemade biscotti.
This Italian cookie is usually served with espresso or red wine.
Step 2. Make snickerdoodles.
This riff on the sugar cookie combines the delectable flavors of cinnamon and sugar.
Step 3. Make oatmeal cookies.
These hearty cookies make a great after-school snack.
Step 4. Make double chocolate cookies.
There's nothing like 2 types of chocolate in the same cookie to satisfy your cravings.
Step 5. Make thumbprint cookies.
They're a combination of buttery shortbread and sweet jam.
Finally, make lemon drop cookies.
These little bursts of sunshine are a perfect treat for afternoon tea.
We hope it is useful to you. Please subscribe to our channel to upskill yourself.